No, I'll say it.
Just fucking say it. Just say it.
I've abandoned my child. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of We Speak Cinema, specifically our series of a dive into the classics.
Ooh.
I am your host, Ioan Cozma, joined
and
by
I am your co-host, PeterAthefirst. Yes.
Oh, very nice. And today's movie that we do not have physically on is Point Blank, starring Lee Marvin and Angie Dickinson, a movie made by John Boorman, a very famous English director who, funnily enough, he has directed one of the most badasses American-style films from the 1960s.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know about the premise of the film, but I'll say it very briefly. It's all about a revenge. It's all about the principle of being paid back and being paid fairly. And as you might have guessed, Lee Marvin is the guy that you don't want to mess with. Obviously, after a run that he's been cheated out of his pension. So without further ado, I'll let Peter give his insights on this film, because this is your first time seeing it.
Yeah. Thank you for swinging it over to me, by the way. That's so meaningful. So the first, because Ioan was hyping this up about it being badass. So in my head, I was thinking John Wick. I was thinking like, some kung fu type stuff is going on, but it's a very subdued badass because, Lee Marvin, he is persistent and he gets what he wants. He will not stop until he gets what he wants, no matter what he has to do to get his $93,000 back, because that's what he wants.
I want my money. I want my 93 grand.
$93,000? You threaten a financial structure like this for $93,000? No, Walker, I don't believe you. What do you really want?
I really want my money.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the film. It got better as it kept going, honestly. And it opened in the best way because it threw you right in with everything that was going on. So you had, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 different timelines going on. You had the party, you had the heist, and then you had, I wrote in jail. I don't know.
Yes.
So there's 3 different, and they don't tell you it's not linear, so it's going back and forth, and you're just like, but after 5 or so minutes, you figure out what's going on, and it takes you on a journey basically after that. I have a couple favorite things to mention. Okay. My favorite shot from the film, I don't know what point, I know it's in the beginning somewhere. The camera was under a grate on the street, and it starts to turn, and it looks up. You know what I'm saying? So like you're looking up through the grate, and so I believe someone's walking above it. That was my favorite shot from the film. I can't tell you what the context of it was, but next time you see it, or if you guys know what I'm talking about. My favorite scene is I don't know what to call it. It's like I don't want to call it the sewer system.
Just call it the sewer system.
I'll call it the sewer system.
The LA sewer system.
There you go. And Lee Marvin is about to go get his money, and he doesn't trust.
So it seems.
Yes, exactly. But he doesn't trust the whole situation going on. So he sends the guy out, a different person out to go get it. He says, "You go get my money." And then we have the wide shot from the bridge, and it like pans back, and you see the guy with the sniper ready to shoot Lee Marvin, and he shoots the guy that Lee Marvin sends instead.
Yeah.
And the guy who was supposed to give Lee Marvin the money gets shot as well.
You go get it for me.
No, it's all right! It's all right, it's Connor!
And I was like, oh my God, like that stuck in my head so long after watching it. I was like, that's the scene that you picked from this movie.
Oh, absolutely. And then, the cutback when you see Marvin just staying with the gun and he's amazed at what just happened because he predicted it all.
Yeah. And you said that you could also, for a second, it's interpreted that Marvin could have shot him because, he's looking like.
Well, yeah, because he looks with the gun up, like when the cutscene happens. But then you see there's a sniper who's actually done the job.
Right. The reveal that it was Alcatraz, because they didn't specify where we were, I don't think.
No, they didn't.
And then you see, the camera pans and you see the water, like the not Russian water, like murky, ocean water or whatever. because it's notorious that people could not escape Alcatraz because of how harsh the water conditions were.
Yep.
And you see the Golden Gate Bridge, and you know where you are. So I love that reveal. The car scene as well, where he's like pressing the gas and pressing the brake and trying to get the information out of him.
That's a good interrogation scene. That's a very clever
Yeah.
way of interrogating a suspect.
Yeah, it was, and it went on for quite a while. It was a long scene. Like
Like
he
5 minutes.
he
Yeah.
didn't stop with the car. I was like, how long are we gonna keep going? And it's just the film is just sort of a compilation of like different situations where Lee Marvin is trying to get information out of people. And you know, when he bursts into his wife or his ex-wife house in the beginning,
Mhm.
and he like
Yeah.
bursts through the door and
Yes.
just shoots the bed like 7 times.
You know, watching this is I think my 5th or 6th time watching this film.
Really?
Now, yeah. Now,
God.
now this time when I watched the film, I just started laughing as he bursts into the bedroom, and he just like, this is hilarious. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
but the way it's shot and everything, because you know nobody's in the house, obviously, because then the movie would have ended right there and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I guess what I love, one of my favorite scenes in the film is when he sits down with his wife, and his wife is sort of recounting of what happened, and
Yeah.
up until he showed up, and Lee Marvin motionless, he just sits there. He like opened his magazine, and he's like holding the gun like this, and he's like a statue. He's just listening to his wife. And this was a long take scene. This was, I don't know if you noticed, but this was like a 5-minute long dialogue scene where only she talks.
Wow.
It's such a good mood film. It's a good LA film. It's one of those films, just like Chinatown. It gives you an enigmatic side of LA. Like, I don't know if you've noticed it, but when you were watching this film, didn't you feel something wasn't right at every point? Even
Yeah.
though, even at the end, when you find out who's who and what happens in the end, which we will not spoil, we try not to spoil, you still feel there's a bit of mystery in the background, because that's what you feel in Chinatown. There's like mystery lurking.
It's sort of like an uneasy feeling throughout the entire thing. It just seems like the city is like suspect.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
That's
everyone's
that's
just
where I'm
suspect.
referring.
No one's safe.
No, what's exactly. That's
and that's sort of a theme for this movie. Like really, no one's safe because they take out a lot of people in the movie
man.
that you meet.
Oh
And
man.
we go through a lot of people that just they don't make it. So
I just love the first guy who you know who's not gonna make it, but we don't see that he's being killed by Lee Marvin on screen, which I don't know if he is, but I like to think it's that way. It's the guy who delivers the money. You know, the
Yes.
second day when Lee Marvin is still in the house,
Mhm.
in his ex-wife's house, and he says, "I have to call them." You have to call them? Yeah, I have to tell him. Tell him what? Like, that I gave her the money. You gave her the money? Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm dead. You're dead? And he's just interrogating the guy. It's
Yeah.
such a hilarious
If
scene.
I had to recreate a scene, it'd probably be when Lee Marvin is going through the doors of the secretaries to get to the guy, you know, because he's like, he gets past the lady at the front, he opens the door, there's another person, and he's just being like very persistent, and you know, he needs to get his money, which is
It's just, which I love, because there's a point in the film where the guy who gets killed in the sewer system, the two guys who get killed before the whole scene happens. One of the guys, John, the John from the car lot, he's asking the guy who gets killed. He says, "Don't you think this is all about the principle and not about the money?" And the boss says, "No, it's all about the money. It's nothing about the principle." But that's so wrong, because at the end of the day, does Walker or Lee Marvin take the money? No, it's all about the principle.
Yeah. And that's what he lives off of, sort of, you know, that's his character's motive throughout the entire thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
I also loved I think there was a cemetery scene, I think.
Yes, there is a cemetery scene.
And the camera or the shot stays on for a long time with the thing digging out another grave.
As I was watching it, I was thinking that you were gonna pinpoint that, because that's such a clever way of cutting the scene, of editing.
Yeah, but I also, because I don't, obviously first time seeing it, I don't know what's going to happen at the end. So I wrote down, could this be symbolizing that he's digging his own grave with, you know, how many people he's going through and this journey that he's taking to get this money? Like, could this be symbolic of that he's going to die at the end? I don't know.
That's a good theory, which I like. Or is this sort of a symbolism that he still has people to kill?
Yeah, there's more digging to do.
There's more digging. Exactly. There's more digging to do.
Wow.
Um,
See, but this is like over. It's sort of over analyzing it, because people could say, like, the director could be like, I just wanted to, you know, get a scoop in there and get some digging going. But
yeah, but you just lingering the shot for too long.
it was too long. It was too long. There
Too
had to
long.
be some reason for it. So
What I want to ask you is in terms of brutality, because
Yeah.
we know, I mean, we've seen brutal films nowadays, and they're very brutal, like Prisoners. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a very brutal film.
Yeah.
When you compare brutality in films now with brutality in films at the end of the 60s and in the 1970s, don't you feel that those, like this sort of violence was, I don't want to use the word real, but it was more naturalistic than the violence that we see today in film?
Yeah. I mean, some of it nowadays, it's only really good and seems naturalistic if it's choreographed and
Yes.
well. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, because sometimes it can feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
But here it's just like, this is what someone would do in this situation. This is the type of move they would do, or this is like, I remember him straddling the couch to get on top of the guy and pointing the gun in his face.
Yeah.
Or how he approached the hotel situation. It seems logical and seems like it could happen. And I like that, you know, obviously CGI nowadays plays a big part. So a lot of the blood splattering could seem fake. Like, even though the choreography in John Wick is fantastic, there's some blood splatters that I know are CGI. It doesn't bother me, but I know it's not real. But here it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to show it for it to be, for you know, to get the message across, which I like.
I mean, this is not sort of what Tarantino used in Django Unchained, where that's just there's just a huge pool of blood everywhere.
God, I want to know
Django
how much they
Unchained.
spent on that. How much they spent on fake blood.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that that's, even though the dialogue may be more natural and the environment, the
Right.
violence of the scenes and all that, it's not naturalistic. That's what I'm trying to point at. And this is what I'm trying to sort of urge everybody when they say, I sort of like thrillers and more violent films, because I've had people tell me those are the only films that I like, that I enjoy. And I'm like, okay, so what do you watch? So
Yeah.
John Wick, maybe James Bond and the new James Bond. But when I try to suggest them older films from the 60s and 70s with just about the same amount of violence, and the next film that we are going to review in 2 weeks is going to be another very violent film, they always reply, it's too old, there's not much violence. But I think that this type of film portrays violence in most naturalistic, un-Hollywoodish way, if you really think about it. Because this is, the censorship has been lifted in 1965, so now there's more freedom. And I don't know, I sort of want to think that the films from 65 to just about 1980 were so unique, because you still have the old generation who are able to do films that they weren't able to do, and then you have the new generation of filmmakers like Scorsese,
our great Martin Scorsese. So
who's able to portray something classic yet something new. And then after the 1980s, everything was new, and forget the classic.
It's sort of a transition period.
Exactly.
And those people, the directors specifically of those time periods, that the newcomers that came in there, still show and display that to this day, which is really impressive. Unlike the people who weren't around back then, who are new now, who have their own style and are doing their own contemporary type of situation. So it's interesting to see all the dynamics of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be another episode which hopefully we can realize on this channel, which is talk about the cinema from the 1970s and how unique it is, and how everybody right now is trying to copy everything from the
Yeah, it's
1970s.
true. It's
put it
true.
back.
Yeah.
But last thing about Point Blank, which I want to touch upon, is the ending where the sniper guy, right? He's becoming Walker. He's becoming Lee Marvin because he's cheated out of his money.
Hmm.
If you pay attention,
Yeah. That's
because
true.
the guy who was supposed to pay him, he killed.
Yep.
And now when the boss comes into town, the guy on the plane, when he comes into town, he says, "So who's gonna pay me?" He says, "I don't know. I'm clean."
I don't know, man. For after the first watch, I gave it a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I was in your position, seen it 5-6 times, I'm sure it would be higher.
Oh yeah, no. It's second time you're gonna watch it, you're gonna appreciate this film on a
Yeah.
different scale.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
I thank you for recommending it, though. I really did enjoy it.
I really enjoy recommending those type of films with people who enjoy cinema, and this is why I trusted you in seeing this film, because I knew you would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're gonna enjoy my next pick, which is not gonna be now, because right now I'm gonna give the floor to you,
Yeah.
because you're going to be announcing the next film we're going to be watching and reviewing.
Yeah. I'm gonna be announcing that. That's happening right now.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
Wait.
Everybody calm down.
So the next film that we're going to be reviewing is the only film that this person directed.
Uh-huh.
From 1955. It's in the Criterion Collection.
Wonderful.
We both haven't seen it, and I've had it in my collection for a while. I think since last sale, and I just need to see it because I don't know anything about it. And it's The Night of the Hunter. And
Oh yeah.
there's too much said about this film. Like praises, I'm saying, not specifically because I don't know what happens in the movie, and it hasn't been spoiled yet. So
it's with Robert Mitchum, one of my favorite actors from the classic Hollywood time.
And it's short. It's a good runtime. It's an hour and a half.
It's an hour and a half, directed by Charles Lofton,
Mm-hmm.
a very interesting English actor.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's what I can say. I know the premise of the film. I think you know it as well. It's all about a preacher who gets out of jail and he's in search of a treasure.
Yeah.
So that's all I know. And also what I know is that the Do the Right Thing, good and bad, that comes from
It does. Yeah. I knew that. I knew he has it written on the
knuckles. Yeah. Alrighty. So once again, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion video and analysis of the film Point Blank, which I will be displaying right here. I'll be hovering it. Yeah, this way.
One of the sides.
One of the sides, exactly. So anyway, until next time, we urge everybody to take care and watch more classic films.
Comment, like, subscribe, and that's a wrap.